Margaret Jackson here.
Hi, I am Austin Game, and I will be listening to Growth and Grind Africa, the transformative talk show, every Thursday on Uniiq FM at 5 to 6 p.m. Let's learn, grow, transform Africa. Growth and Grind Africa. Live it, learn it, lead it. You are welcome.
Media handles Growth and Grind Africa.
Learn it,
Live it,
lead it. Hello. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. I am here in the Uniiq 95.7 FM studio, and I'm here with an important guest, and I can't believe it. This is episode 10 of season 1 already, and today we'll be looking at leading in uncertainty, the growth mindset in African leadership. You know, Africa is a young continent. I was reading on Africa on the UN website, and I was amazed at what I read, and I was like, wow, we need to do something about leadership. Because when I went to the United Nations Office of the High Representative for the least developed countries, landlocked developing countries and small island developing states, the report stated that Africa has the youngest population in the world, with 70% of sub-Saharan Africa under the age of 30. Whoa. You know, in other nations where the challenge is getting medical care, cost of drugs for the elderly, in Africa, it is getting jobs for the youth. And we need to inculcate in the youth as well. Today, we're going to talk about leadership. We'll look at corporate leaders, but we have to look at the youth as well. I am your regular host, Margaret Jackson, also known as HRH. Today, I'll be doing this alone. And in the studio, I have with me a gentleman, a fine gentleman, who has excelled. I mean, when I met him years back, I was like, wow, this young man is Oja. I still think he's a young man, and he hasn't lost his Oja. If you are in the HR fraternity, I'm sure by now you know who I'm talking about. He's Dr. Jeff Bassi, the founder of the Institute of Leadership and Strategy. Dr. Jeff Bassi is in the house with me today. Jeff is a leadership and strategy expert and has consulted and trained for 242 organizations, including Bank of Ghana, MTN, Newmont Gold Ghana, USAID, Ghana Revenue Authority, Ghana Stock Exchange, Kempinski, as someone says, Kempinstick. I mean, Kempinstick is also here. Jeff holds BSc Administration, LLB, MBA, and a Doctor of Strategy. Oh, Doc. I'm sure you'll agree with me when I say he's an audacious person. Jeff is a chartered accountant. Can you believe that? A certified senior professional in HR and a certified strategy professional. Oh, Doc, Chayen Kakre. Prior to starting the Institute of Leadership and Strategy, Doc Bassey founded the HR Certification Center, which has now been adjudged #1 HR Certification Center in Ghana. Oh, wow. 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 Doc, you are warmly welcome.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity. A very good evening to our listeners out there.
Thank you very much. Please, listeners, as we usually do this, we will listen to the opinions that we sampled on the topic this week. So please don't go anywhere. Don't touch your dial. Wait, listen to what others said about this topic.
In times like these, I've come to realize that being a good leader isn't about having all the answers. It's about being real with your people. For me as a bank manager, leadership in uncertainty is about staying calm, communicating clearly, and most importantly, being present. I remember during the pandemic, my team looked at me not for perfection, but for direction, for someone who could say, let's take it one step at a time together. I think it takes empathy, a willingness to listen more than speak, and the courage to adapt quickly. Because sometimes leadership isn't about charging ahead. It's about holding the space while everyone finds their footing. That's what I believe makes a good leader when the ground keeps shifting.
No. And to me, what I think makes good leaders in times of uncertainty are two things, and that is focus and flexibility. I think in uncertain times, a leader or a good leader has to be glued to the vision or the focus or the target that is in pursuit. But aside being glued to the focus or the target, a good leader must also be flexible enough to adjust the course or take certain decisions as and when, because times are uncertain. But if a leader is rigid, is not flexible enough, then in times of uncertainty, things can become a little more, far more difficult. So I think a leader or a good leader in times of uncertainty has to have a keen focus or maintain that keen focus and be flexible as well.
In uncertain times, feels like steering a ship and more like surfing a wave. Messy, unpredictable, but all about balance. In my world, the tech space, things change overnight. What I have learned is that humility and flexibility go a long way. You have to trust your team, even when you don't have all the answers, and be okay with saying, I don't know yet. I found that transparency builds loyalty. When I share the challenges openly, my team leans in, not out. Even in the chaos, we remind ourselves why we started. That purpose keeps us grounded. So, to me, a good leader in uncertain times isn't the one who pretends to be unshakable, but the one who keeps showing up, honest, steady, and always learning.
Welcome back. I hope you heard what I heard as well. And I'm excited because, look, I kept on hearing flexibility, trust. You should be able to say, I don't know. So, in uncertainty, it's good to build trust. It's good to be flexible. And it's also good to say, but let's put a pin in this. Because, watching you, listening to you, I've realized that you've been able to shift focus. You have been able to move away from your first love. They normally say you don't ask a lady her age. I don't know if you can ask a gentleman his age, but you haven't gone on retirement. But you've been able to move away from your initial love would like to know, what structures did you put in place to enable you do this? But before you answer, in Chi, we say, because this year, for us entrepreneurs, we've been mourning Apostle Kojosafo. He was a great one. He was an African. He believed in the African. He believed in the African mind. He believed that we didn't need to depend on anybody and that we could do it. We've lost him. Our thoughts are with his family, his church, the community, and Ghana as a whole. I was really sad when I heard about
Indeed,
his
we were.
passing.
He was a true African.
Mm-hmm. And this week, to all the Ashantis who are also mourning the Queen Mother, we are with you in spirit. We say, Mundri Drieni Amani Hunu. So, Doc, back to you. How did you do it? What structures did you put in place?
Very well. A very good evening to our listeners once again. I normally operate with a concept I call the blue sky, dark cloud concept. The blue sky is where you cast vision, you imagine what or how things could be. If resources was not a problem, if when I talk about resources, I'll be referring to all the aspects of resources, talking about people.
Doc, put a pin in this. No, to my listeners out there, we have Doc for free. Doc charges. You know, you heard the companies I mentioned, Newmont, Ghana Stock Exchange. So he's charging hard cash for what he's sharing with us today. We are fortunate to have him. So please grab your gadgets, your pens, your pieces of paper, your notebooks, because he's going to spew wisdom. And this is for free. Thank you, Doc.
Right. Thank you for those kind words coming from you. So as I mentioned, the blue sky, dark cloud sort of concept we use in strategy. If resources was not a problem, talking about financial resources, people issues, if competition was not even a problem, what would you dream of? What would you, consider things to be? And I always say, if your vision doesn't scare and excite you at the same time, it's probably not good enough. It must scare you. If it doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. If it doesn't excite you, you are not passionate about it.
It must be audacious, right?
Precisely so. So that audacity to dream and say that, listen, this is what we want. And then we got to deal with the dark clouds. And how do we develop strategic initiatives to deal with those dark clouds so we can appear in the blue, sky. Listening to your listeners or those who, share their views on the topic, I could tell that quite a number of our audience are well aligned to where we are going. And indeed, one of the things that was here, one of the ladies have to do with your ability to define realities.
Yeah.
A leader's, quality should be to define what the realities are, what the challenges are. As to the question of how we're able to make the strategic move, I had always thought that if you are managing or leading an organization and in your absence, nothing gets done, you have been managing yourself, not an organization. You should be able to empower others. And when we talk about empowerment, it means that you would move away from just doing a telling by giving people instructions and giving directions without sharing the conventional wisdom behind why they have to do A. So that if I were directing Kofi, go turn on that projector for that training we're about to do. Don't leave it on for more than 4 hours at a time. I would have just been telling him what to do. But if I really am interested in having Kofi to appreciate what we do and to one day being able to do it with minimum or no supervision, I have to start sharing why the projector screen cannot be left on for more than 4 hours at a go, providing the conventional wisdom, because human beings are not animals that obey instincts and genetic code. We have mind, we think for ourselves. And the only time people get really truly motivated to act is when they understand the consequences of inaction. because a change in post is a change that will most likely be opposed. All right. So people appreciate that. Then you move to the third area, which is participating. Instead of always telling what to do, you bring the problem, you judge with the person. You probably, as the leader, will have to try to cajole people, for want of a better way, let me say, cajole people to see things through your eyes. And the idea is that someday they will be taken over. But I'll be sharing a powerful story today with you and our listeners on why I had the courage to move away. It is because I had somebody who I thought, had a certain talent. I'll be sharing with you the 4 major types of talent at management levels. And when you realize that the business have gotten to a level where you are unable to probably move it to the next other level, but somebody else was better placed, you better want to put that person in the driver's seat, where the fellow will not have to be all the time attending to you, looking out for your blessings and your approvals before you move. It can really slow down
so
the system.
Can I give a shout out to Pearl?
Exactly,
I let the cat out of the bag.
Exactly, Pearl is the person I'll be talking about.
Pearl, wherever
when
you
the
are,
opportunity comes.
I hope you are listening to Doc. He says that he knew you could move to the next level and that he wasn't needed anymore.
Right.
So that's why you were able to move to the next level?
Yes. So if you give me the opportunity to briefly describe the relationship between myself and Pearl. So
please do.
I when I founded the HR Certification Center, Pearl have been with me every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And let me quickly share the 4 major talents at the executive level or management level. The people I refer to as the thinkers, who can bring new ideas, cast vision, get the organization, started, etc. Then we have the, builders. These are guys who can take ideas, as theoretical as they may sound, and convert them or get them materialized. More like entrepreneurs, more like start from the scratch project managers within the organization. Then we have improvers, the guys who can take old systems and improve on them, change processes and systems that would get better results. Because really, formulating a strategy for an organization is simply about relating the organization to its environment. So when the exogenous or external environments are changing and in organizations' internal responses do not commensurate to the external changes, then the end to that organization indeed will be in sight. All right. Then the final one are the producers, the guys who keep the engine running, more like they lubricate, they get things replicated and done over. Now I realized that I'm quite strong as a thinker and a bit of a builder, not too solid a builder. And Pearl happens to be a very strong builder and an improver. And so when I got the institution to what I choose to describe cruising altitude, and it's almost as if I have
Doc,
put the institution
today you promised me you were not going to use big brofo. What did you just say? Please say it again.
When we got the institution to that level where we thought that I was almost putting the institution on autopilot, nothing new was being added, etc. And then you have your next in command, who happens to be a strong builder and an improver. I thought that she was better placed to take the institution to a higher height than myself. And if I held on to the CEO's position and have to bless every decision, we're going to slow down our growth. All right. And this was a person who could do that improvement and building better than myself. It takes a bit of a courage because people even ask you, how do you build such an institution and step away from it? And I always say, stepping back is part of leadership. All right. So at least what I do now is simply to provide some sort of boardroom leadership and direction. But really, executive power lies in her. And because I realized those abilities in her, and I also realized that at this stage of the institution, she was better placed than myself as founder to take the organization to the next level.
I will say kudos to you and kudos to Pearl. Because sometimes people realize and then they are worst enemies. So it's like, I founded this and now you are becoming better than me. Then they frustrate people and then they push them away, So well done to you for that. I've heard you on air and you're passionate about African leadership.
Exactly
I've heard
so.
it being touted elsewhere that African leaders don't really have that sort of mindset, the growth mindset, and that we tend to have the fixed mindset. You know, Carol Dweck
Yeah.
wrote about the fixed and the growth mindset. Let's unpack that a bit before we go to, do we really have the fixed mindset, and what sort of fixed mindset do you see? But let's unpack what fixed and growth mindsets are.
Very well. I had always thought and believed that one of the highest forms of human maturity is to take responsibility for all of your predicaments. The moment you can point to somebody, you have someone else to blame, you've lost the power to solve the problems.
Please hold on. This is to our viewers. I think this is a nugget that must be captured. And Doc, could you kindly say that again? Because I come across a lot of people who are always pointing fingers at others, but never accepting this. Please, could you take it again for us?
Right, okay. That's one of the highest forms of human maturity is to take full responsibility of all of your predicaments. Now, USAID just got closed down because there's a new government in America who didn't quite believe in what USAID was doing. And I pray I don't hurt people out there who have been direct beneficiaries of USAID services, the United States aid or help to Africa. I very much sympathize even with the our colleagues who lost jobs there. But interestingly, Auntie Margaret, I have been a consultant who have played some role in the closure of UICID Ghana. I handled the outplacement and the trainings of those who were going out there. But let's be honest to ourselves. How long are we going to be seeking to be helped by another person? When they were here doing it, fine, is good, they were helping us, but they are gone. Are we going to stand up to a situation, or we are going to keep crying that a help has been taken away? It's all a question of mindset.
Yeah.
To appreciate the fact that no one is going to develop Africa for us, but we got to stand up to our own challenges and resolve issues. Now, when I made that statement, it was quite a generic statement on how a sign of maturity is to accept predicaments, all of your challenges. See, the same boiling water that softens the potato also hardens the egg. I always say our situations are more of a reflection of our philosophy, much more than the environmental factors. Because in the same environmental situations, economic, global economic crunch, talk about COVID, global warming, these are common challenges that many other continents also share in Africa. We would have a choice to want to do something about these situations, or we throw our hand in despair and say that, well, it is no fault of ours that these natural disasters come, and what are we going to do about it? Leadership
and Doc,
starts
not
from a
to cut
decision.
you short.
Right.
Sometimes I get bored when I still hear they raped us, they took away all that we had. So that is why we are suffering in Africa. And I'm like, after how many years? I think we have to move on. So this is just to buttress what you're saying, that we should take responsibility and move ahead.
Yeah. So mindset is the beginning. Now, growth and fixed mindset. This is a philosophy you all pick from that great psychologist. That a growth mindset, person is one who sees positives in every situation. And is ready to do a good, learning. Now, failure is not even the opposite of success. I always say failure is the foundation of success. The fact that you give it a try and learn what works and what doesn't work positions you, in a better way to want to get it right the next time you have the opportunity. And so, the fixed mindset is basically about, well, this is a challenge. What can we do about it? It is no fault of ours that we find ourselves here. And therefore, we throw our hands in despair. And when the challenges come, they knock us down and we stay there and complain. And nobody is really coming to save us, because naturally in life, nobody really cares about your story until you win. So I always tell people, focus on winning, because nobody's going to come to save you. And those are philosophies and concepts lots of our listeners know out there. But what I want to add is the hardwired processes and the discipline to want to live by the dictates of the growth mindset. There are things we all pay lip service to, we say nicely, but really we don't get the vehicle moving to want to do something about the situation and change our predicaments, be it a young person or a business executive out there. I'm sure sometime will allow us to speak directly to corporate leaders and probably a few things to the young persons out there as well.
So when COVID comes, people say, Danyevi Makulo, and Makulo to you, Makulo. You know, in times of crisis, Makulo, you, Makulo.
Right.
Yeah. I shared a story of years back when I had a call center. And in the area where I had a call center in Tema, people used to queue. So some will be in the room and others will be outside. And then Ghana Telecom decided to position a phone booth just in front of my shop. And instead of saying, I will take advantage of this and sell their cards, I said, Danyevi Makulo. So I kuloed too. You know, I gave up. And for me, that's the greatest lesson I learned as an entrepreneur. And that was years back. I didn't make that move. So people used to buy from someone who had that and started selling. So they wouldn't climb up to me. They would buy cards and then use the booth. So you are right. At that time, I had a fixed mindset. And it took that experience to change me for life. But that's enough about me. And I didn't see that failure as because I goofed once, that was it.
Right.
No. So if, to our listeners out there, if for any reason you found yourself in a situation where you made a mistake, it doesn't matter. You can always course correct. Once you have life, you have a gift and you can make a difference.
Precisely so.
Yeah. So, Doc, as a leadership expert, you are my leadership expert. What is the most persistent fixed mindset paradigm that leaders in Africa have? And how can we as Africans change from that?
Right. I'm going to take it from a very holistic point of view. We have a fundamental and flawed understanding of leadership in Africa. We had mostly attributed leadership to occupancy of position. I am the position and therefore I am a leader. What that also means is that those who have not been given positions and titles do not even want to exhibit any form of leadership flash. All right. Now, I am not condemning the importance of occupying the position. Indeed, it gives you access to leadership. It gives you the right to exercise authority, to direct the actions and inactions of others. And if you may, to make decisions for and on behalf of the organization. I taught a young man some 4 years ago who gave me a call about 2 years ago, one fine evening. Good evening, Dr. Basir. I called to say a big thank you to you for your contribution to what I have become in life. And I asked the person, what have you become? So I was made a leader in my company last week. I'm like, congratulations. But if I could understand what you meant by you were made a leader, then he goes like he has been made a head of a department. Well, I had already congratulated him, but I thought that I should make a little correction that you really have not been made a leader. You have been offered a leadership role, and you are yet to prove if you're a leader or not. But it does look like once we get into the position, that is mistaken for being a leader.
Doc, you remember years ago, the two of us taught at an institution, and we had to teach them the difference between leadership and management.
Precisely.
And that you may be the manager, but someone in your team may be the leader because they have those qualities, and you may just have the qualities of a leader. And the sad thing with many institutions is that someone is good at their job, then they are promoted. Then people expect them to become leaders overnight. So it's not about the position, but the leadership qualities. So are we preparing leaders? That's one thing that normally I ask people.
Good. So the fixed mindset, as you're saying, have to do with one, let's appreciate the fact that leadership is quite different than occupancy of position. And indeed, if you have ever seen a situation where a deputy occupant in a portfolio exhibits more leadership flair than a substantive occupant, that then lends credence to the argument I'm making. And then the second one is the fact that so long as you become a manager, that also makes you a leader. Respectfully to our professionals out there, technical skills is not tantamount to leadership. All right.
No.
And then the last area I want to speak to, then we probably get into issues of developing a growth mindset, have to do with I am the SME, subject matter expert. It's called knowledge myth.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a chartered accountant, MBA in finance, nobody could make better sense in the finance department than yourself. Leadership is much, 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 much broader than. Now, I'm not trying to demonize or undermine the importance of these things I'm mentioning. Being in the position or being a good manager, or for that matter, being a subject matter expert. I'm not condemning them, but I'm only saying that they only augment leadership, but in themselves should not be leadership. Now, the fundamental difference between leadership and management, I've always taught institutions, is that whereas management is about working in a system, leadership fundamentally is about working on the system. All right, the two are not the same. So fixed mindset say, this is how we've always done it here. This is how it is done in the public sector. This is how we've always done it in the banking space. This is how we always do it in the private sector.
And it won't work.
And it won't work, and it's not working.
Facilitators, don't we come across this all the time? You were teaching something and you are teaching a new skill and people are like, it won't work.
Yeah. So you see, attitude is a product of belief. The fact that your mindset says it will not work. Now, I was with an organization, one of the public sector organizations, and for good reasons, let's not mention their name. Just last week, I was with the board, and when the session was even over and done with, then a board member asked me, gentlemen, do you really, really, really believe that there can be any meaningful transformation in the public institution? Now, these are guys who are sitting on boards, all right, who had invited me to have a leadership session with them. And after the leadership session, somebody is still asking you whether you believe so. Because we normally believe that the culture of the organization, the systems, and the mere political infiltration serves as an inertia and will not allow the organization to be turned around. So I then gave them examples of public sector institutions, both in Ghana and outside Ghana, which have been turned around. Then we start working on their belief system. That is possible. Like I always say, attitude is a product of belief. That is how come when the lion and the elephant meet in the forest, the elephant is immediately switched into defense mode. Because for him, I've just found an eater. I am weak. I can't help myself. In spite of the fact that it's the elephant is 10 times heavier, thicker, taller, mightier than the lion. The lion is switched immediately into attack mode because there's only one word on his mind. I've seen lunch and I got
big
to
lunch.
break it down.
Big lunch.
And then so he's switched into an attack mode. So their attitudes differently are, fundamentally informed by what they believe about themselves. So it is important that we believe that transformation is possible, is feasible, it can be done. That then alone can we start assessing how it could be done.
Okay, Doc. We are in a continent and it's as diverse as you can think of. So what practical steps can leaders take to develop a strategy? You have a way of saying strategy. I can't say it the same way, but that is both clear in its vision, yet agile enough to adapt to uncertainties, because the uncertainties won't go away.
Well, VUCA had always been a thing with us. The fact that today we find a nice academic jargon for it doesn't mean it never existed. Every generation have had their own challenges to fight. The world has always been volatile, uncertain, ambiguous, and complex. Maybe today we can talk about the scale of it, the magnitude of the change, and how quick it's been happening. Otherwise, uncertainty had always been the case, whether in the business world or in real world, situation. Uncertainty had always been an issue. Now, how do we go around this things? I hope I don't sound too technical. In leading organizations to develop strategic plans, we always tell them that strategy formulation or formulating a strategy is fundamentally about relating an organization to its environment. So understanding our environment. And when I talk about environment, Africa, we have some good strength here. Natural resources. I have gone through the analysis you had shared with me. We have lots of strengths.
Oh, yes.
Lots of opportunities.
Oh, yeah.
Name it. Yes, those can inure to our benefit when we consider the blue sky. But what are our dark clouds? We are looking at our weaknesses. We are looking at threats and what steps we are going to take. Now, the moment the rate of change on the outside exceeds the rate of change on the inside, the end to that establishment is in sight. In other words, the organization's internal responses must always commensurate the external or exogenous forces. So, coming from that definition of relating an organization to its environment, constantly, we must be doing adjustment. Now, too many people mistake strategy for a static plan. No, strategies are fluid, they are emergent, they evolve. Plans may go wrong, but strategies should not go wrong, because we do constant, reviews to the strategies to be sure that we are aligned to globalization, to how technology is impacting how we do business, the constant, changes in customer preferences and how they want services delivered, international laws, and for that matter, our own state laws and etc. The moment you position the organization to be agile enough to respond to these external changes, it becomes very difficult, for the organization to lose out. Otherwise, we suffer from what I choose to call tunnel vision, where you slot your eyes into the tunnel and you are not interested in what is happening in the outside world. Now, globalization is quite heavy. I always talk about those two guys who sit in San Francisco and decide which taxi picks you and I on the street of Accra. Talking about Uber. They probably are not interested in coming to Accra or knowing where Ghana is located. But they are the reasons the taxi driver is struggling in Ghana to feed his wife and children, And so how are we positioning ourselves as a continent to be able to respond to this? It's refreshing to note that, technologies like fintech and mobile monies and the rest are technologies that have been developed in Africa. We took them
by storm. They thought it wouldn't work.
And we export it to the rest of the world. And it's faring quite well.
Yeah.
And it was a good reminder from you when I read that. So I went back to do some research on it, and I realized how much Africa took the world by storm.
Yeah.
And we cannot forever remain as consumers of these technological products. We also have to be creators of the product. So we have to first work on our belief system. The average African, Auntie Maggie, the average African doesn't have belief in ourselves. We feel subservient and believe that somebody else had better ideas to do it. And until we overcome that, and let me say this. When I go to church and I hear somebody say, I bring you greetings from Germany, I got no problem with that. But when the amen is loud, and then another person comes to say, my business is doing well, I made it here in Africa, and the amen is weak. And I'm like, then where is our mindset? It is actually not, and let me say this, let me be bold to say this. It's a national embarrassment and not pride to say that until our young people can work and feed themselves, until we run to the white man, we can't feed ourselves. It's a national embarrassment. Yes. I'm yet to listen to anybody from the European world or the Americans and they say that I am proud to say that I made it in Africa and I've been in Africa for all these years. But the pride with which we say it, I didn't grow up here. I was in America all this while I made my money in America. Who is coming to work on our country for us? Now, I am not saying if you have any business doing there, you can go there. I mean, you can school there. You can get knowledge, you can go and do business, but to eulogize them over us. And it's almost as if you were in America as a Ghanaian, we see you to be over and above the rest of us who grew up here. And I'm like, where is the identity issue? Where is the pride to say that Africans, it can be likened to a man whose rooftop is leaking, and instead of mending it, he goes to patch with his next door neighbor, with his family, and is proud of how his next door neighbor's house
and has been able to patch well.
Without Doc, working on our problems.
Doc, that's what I'm doing, touring Africa.
Yeah.
saying, believe in our African consultants, believe in the facilitators, believe in the learning, believe in us.
Yeah.
We have it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And when there are big projects, they'll say, we brought in someone when they don't know our pain.
Yeah.
Well, Doc,
I remember the first time I consulted for Kempinski Hotel Ghana, when I went to the CEO's office. One of his first statements is, I don't quite believe in African consultants, but somebody strongly recommended you. I want to know what you can do. And I'm like, wow. Somebody said, I don't believe in African consultant. I need to prove myself maybe 2 times in able to make sense.
We are proving ourselves.
To make sense to them.
Right. We are proving ourselves about 10 times.
Right.
That's for another day.
Yeah.
Because if you leave me to it, I'm going to talk about the fact that we need to prove ourselves as Africans. We need to prove ourselves sometimes as even women consultants. We need to prove ourselves every day, not to people from other continents, to our own brothers and sisters. Yeah. But we'll get there. Doc, I think it's about time that we went for the song of the day. Stick and stay with us. Let's listen to the song of the day. I love it so much, and I know you are going to love it too. We will get there. We are it's from Osibisa.
Oh, good one.
Oh, yes, a good one. Oh, we'll get there, Doc. We will talk about it. Waya.
So, where means we are going. Heaven knows where we are going. We know we shall get there. Everybody now. We are going. Heaven knows where we are going. We know within we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. Everybody join us and sing. We are going. Heaven knows where we are going. We know within. We will get there. We will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. Yeah. It will be all we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. Yeah. It will be all we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. It will be all we know.
We know it's not going to be easy. It's going to be rough. It's going to be tough, but we'll get there. And that's why the education, Doc. We will get there. This is the time where I want to wish Coach Liziane, my co-host, a belated birthday wish. She celebrated her birthday yesterday. Coach Liziane, May God bless you and increase your new age. Now let's move on to the session, the part where I think you've all been waiting for, the call-in. So you can call us on 055 083 4555. I'll take it again. 055 083 4555. So the last fives are 3. But whilst we wait for callers, Pearl was giving you fans, Doc. She said, "Thank you very much, my mentor and coach." Then I think I got another one. So Pearl is ever grateful. Then let's see who else. Oh, that's for Pearl. Then Emmanuel says, "Indeed, if nothing gets done when you are not around as a leader, you're leading yourself." I think you're loving that quote. Then Boating says, "Technical skills is not leadership in itself." Very well said. Then Ajo says, "Transformation is possible." So people are loving what you're saying, Doc. So whilst we wait for callers, Doc, you can share some more, because it looks like today the text messages were the ones that came in. So, Doc, I think you wanted to share on.
Very well.
You wanted to add on.
Good. Now, let me say this.
These are not your last words, so you can add on.
Right, okay.
There's a caller. Is there a caller on the line? Oh, there's a caller on the line.
He's asking, is it a caller?
Yes, hello.
Hi, good evening, Coach Margaret.
Good evening.
Okay. Congratulations, Dr. Jeff. This is Liziane. Thank you for the happy
Liziane.
Good to hear from you.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Liziane.
Thank you so much, Coach. Thank you so much, Coach. I've been following the program and it's amazing. Dr. Basti, you are just amazing. It's so beautiful to hear African consultants speak with such deep perspective, and I think this is why Growth and Grind Africa is there, to maximize the voices of trailblazers. The world needs to hear this. Africa needs to hear this. We need to change our mindset. We have the men. We have the people who can bring about the change, and I'm so excited. I was so happy hearing you pour so much wisdom and insight and practicalities. You're amazing. God bless you.
Bless you too, Liziane, for those kind words, and happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Doc.
May your coming years be much, much greater than your past years.
Amen. Thank you. And thank you, Coach Margaret. It's been a wonderful evening.
Coach Liziane, Coach, Doc never disappoints. I told listeners that Coach will be spewing wisdom. Doc will be spewing out wisdom. Another caller on the line?
Yes, thank you so much. Have a good evening.
And have a good evening too, Coach Liziane.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye-bye. Yes, Doc.
Right. I had always argued that the thinking that guides our intelligence is much more important than the power of our IQ. IQ is natural, maybe it's from God. And in Africa, we go to school a lot. I've consulted for a few multinationals who would tell me, at least 3 or 4 of them, it does look like Ghanaians go to school a lot, but achieve relatively little. Why so? The thinking that guides our intelligence is much, much more important than the power of our IQ.
Mm-hmm.
Now, thinking is probably the most difficult job on earth.
Hello?
Yes, madam.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks for the program.
You're welcome.
But yes, but what I want to say is that we can't blame anybody for our problems. But it's a little bit difficult because the fact of the matter is that there are people in whatever business or whatever progress you are making, people will come, or some will come and help, some will come and destroy it. But I feel what should be the taken is that in any situation when it happens, if you have to cry, you just cry as you can cry, and then move on.
Mm-hmm.
But we are in our ability to absorb pain differs from one another.
Mm.
So if you have a problem, after the problem it will come. When it comes, I mean, you can cry over it or complain over it, but don't complain about it from morning to evening. Try to have some space for yourself and then move on, because whatever be the case, it has happened. So that is what I feel the statement should be.
Thank you.
Very well.
Spot on. Spot on. That is spot on. You are fantastic. You got it right. Thank you very much, sir. Wow.
Yeah, I like the bit he mentioned.
Yeah.
Then move on. So we are fundamentally on the same page,
yes.
sir. It doesn't matter how you put it. We are on the same page.
Yeah.
All I sought to say was that where you keep your focus is where you make your impact.
Yeah.
Now, we are not saying that we don't get hurt by people. Nobody robbed us. Nobody stole away from us. But as you dwell on that, then you will not be making progress. Now, I've met people who tell you that, well, if only my parents have sent him to school. Yes, your parents didn't send you to school. You can blame. You have the choice to blame them, or to say, listen, since I became an adult, have I also sent myself to school?
Yeah.
Now, once you are blaming people, you are losing the power to resolve the issue. That's all we are trying to say. The person who just called, thank you. We are all on the same page. I only want to say that after everything, move on. Don't dwell on it, because then you will make your impact in learning to blame people instead of taking your own predicament or your destiny into your own hands.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Doc. Well said. Let's take some adverts, then I'll come back to you and we'll end and wrap this up beautifully.
Very well.
So if you are listening to us this evening, morning, afternoon, depending on where you are calling from, L&D Africa, we are going to Nairobi, Kenya, October 15th to 17th. Is going to be awesome. It's about bridging that gap, and making sure that learning is done in a way that benefits us as Africans, not looking at what others are doing on their continent and just following just like that. You can tweak it. You can learn from what others are doing, but we must have solutions that will answer to our own problems. So if you are interested in joining us, go to the L&D Africa website and register. You can also call Stanley on 053-475. You can also call Stanley on, let me take that again, 053-475-4110. Or, to cut a long story short, just go to the L&D Africa website and you will get all the details. Then Becca Africa is running a beautiful course. If you want to become a certified coach with ICF accredited level 1 coach certification, then please call Becca Africa and you will be sorted. This is the first time this course is being run in Ghana. I did mine out of the country, but it's being organized and being run by an MCC, as a master certified coach.
Right.
So it doesn't get any better. Thank you very much. So if you are interested in the conference, if you are interested in becoming a certified coach, then you know where to tend to. So, Doc, back to you. Wrap this up for me.
Very well. My concluding statement. I'm still.
Please, I want you to talk to the young entrepreneurs. I want you to talk to the corporates. I want you to talk to us, because you're the man of strategy, oozes out of you. Leadership oozes out of you. Please let it ooze. Let it flow.
Right. So to our younger persons out there, and probably even corporate leaders, I always say we would need to increase our mental capacity to accommodate success. Standards are influenced by senses, because not too many great things are happening around us. You know, what we see, what you hear, what you witness, what you read, most likely will form your standards. And if these things are average enough, if you are not careful, you would start mistaking mediocrity for excellence. And so I always advise that we increase our mental capacity. When I talk to young persons and they start mistaking very basic things, I mean, back in GHS, we were told that basic needs of man is food, shelter, and clothing. If you live in a good house and you eat good food and you even drive a nice car, we've gone past stages where cars are status symbol. Unless you are the owner of the car manufacturing company, then we can talk about it being a status symbol. So increasing our mental capacity to accommodate success. In the absence of even clear vision, when resources come into your hand, you most likely is going to kill you. You know, vision have a few qualities I talk about. Let me just mention quickly and then you wrap up. I mean, if it's a vision, it must scare and excite you. If it's a vision, it must focus your attention. It must question your laziness. It must challenge your indecision. And if it is a vision, it attracts resources. In the absence of vision, sometimes resources come and go. And when I talk about resources, I'm not just referring to money. Even potential helpers are not easily recognized in the absence of vision. And so, you know, adjusting our mindset or reformulating our mindset to know that, hey, it is possible right here in Africa, because fundamentally it's all about solving problems. Which continent have more problems than we have? And we should be in the continent, identify our problem and find solutions to them. And if you ask me, it will send us much, much, much further. And I was making a statement when the call came through, that the thinking that guides our intelligence is more important than the power of our IQ. Let's think, not just copying. Over 90% of human beings on earth do not quite think. And I think that we should all challenge ourselves to look out for solutions, not just join the bandwagon of complainers. It only reproduces you into other persons, but your uniqueness is actually realized if you can chart a new course and be a trailblazer.
Thank you very much, Doc. I have really enjoyed myself. You know, when you are in the company of, I don't want to say knowledgeable, because there's more to what you have just shared than knowledge. You know, you are experienced, you have the knowledge, you apply what you learn, you make it practical. And I've really enjoyed chatting with you this evening. I mean, we should call you back. I need, as someone would say, répéter encore.
Thanks a lot for the honor and the opportunity to share my thoughts with your listeners.
And just to the listeners, this is Growth and Grind Africa, where it happens, where we talk about Africa, where we look forward, where we think about how do we improve our continent? What nuggets can we share with our young ones? How can we improve what the older ones are doing? We talk about systems, we talk about procedures, we talk about things that will make us improve as Africans. So until we come your way again next week, it is Growth and Grind Africa. Learn it, live it, lead it. Thank you very much, Doc.
Thank you.